Hey guys, it's your favorite CPA here again. Today I wanted to talk about how to pay 1099 contractors. But I'm going to spin this conversation on its head a little bit. I'm going to throw you a curveball. Ultimately, I want to showcase how to do that with Melio because it's kind of the APAR platform that I've really been enjoying the most lately. But I also want to show you, that it is capable with doing this on other platforms. So, first things first, you can use the green machine, QuickBooks by Intuit, which is kind of the 600-pound gorilla in the room. It can do most things, but you are going to need to pay for it because it is a kind of pricey software. They do have these introductory plans here, but you can see like it's almost $60 a month for the one that at least I use. And then it can go up to 275, and it's all $60 a month before you get to the like after the promotional period. It's actually closer to $115 a month, so it's pricey. It adds up quick. But you can do a 1099 contractor payment with QuickBooks, and all you're going to do is you're going to go in, you'll enter the expense or the bill, and then you go to the QuickBooks bill pay option. You select your account, and then you send the payment. You can send the payment, or you can mark it as paid via check. If you want to print a check, drop that thing in the mail, and it's marked as paid in your QuickBooks. And then at the end of the year, it'll have the option to pay. You need to send this person a 1099 because you paid them more than $600. So you can use QuickBooks to issue a 1099 payment, but that's the traditional way of doing it. And then you still have to figure out how you want to send that person 1099, whether you're going to use like tax1099.com, if you're going to do it in-house, if you're going to have a bookkeeper do it, or export it from the system. Bill.com, now just known as Bill. You can also pay your contractors, anybody who's doing any service for you, you can pay them via bill, very similar to how I'm about to show you how you can do it. Melio, I'm particularly picking Melio and closing out a bill in QuickBooks because I want to talk about what if your vendor is international. And so Melio, you can issue payment in tons of different currencies and countries. They can be outside the U.S. You can do over 80 different countries, and then they're always updating the list. So there are tons of options out there, and so I want to make sure that that is known for what we're doing with Melio today to pay these contractors, whether they're helping you design a website, or they're manufacturing something for you, or they're providing services like accounting. Hey, you have the option to pay them. So couple other things to note is they have to originate these international payments. They have to originate within the United States. So like if I'm doing an international payment from Canada, I might have a little bit of a headache. And then one other interesting thing, so do make note of this whenever you are working on Melio, is make sure you're aware that you can't send an international payment with Melio if your business is registered in Texas or Vermont. So that is something I have noticed. I try and do my research before I jump into these videos to show you like what you guys might be getting into. And I just thought that was really interesting. So other stuff, Puerto Rico is not an international location because it is a territory of the United States. So if you're paying someone who's in Puerto Rico, you don't have to worry about that. Other stuff. Typically, if you're paying internationally, whether it's just a 1099 or a vendor, I believe there's a $20 processing charge. And what that is any international payments are going to be basically delivered to your client as a wire. If you're sending a large sum, over $100,000, that usually takes an extra day to process, but it's pretty quick most of the time. Typically same day if you're able to get it in early enough. And then if you're in certain industries as international payments to those 1099ers may not go through if you're using Melio, like anybody involved with charity, diamonds, and nonprofits, you're going to have a hard time paying those folks. So, and this is more so a video on how to pay your 1099 contractor, but you can use QuickBooks, Bill, Xero, Wave, Sage Intacct. You can use any of these platforms to issue a payment to a 1099 contractor. So I kind of wanted to throw that curveball in there because a lot of those you're not going to be able to do. if they're international. And with as interconnected as everything is now, it's important that if someone in East Asia, for instance, is doing your manufacturing and you need to issue them a payment, you need to be able to have a platform that can do that. So how do we issue that payment to an independent contractor? It's pretty easy. So you'll just go over here, you'll log into your Melio account, and then you'll go to pay. All right, it's that simple. You're going to come to this dashboard here, and you'll create a new bill. Who's it going to go to? So you can drag and drop if you've already generated the invoice. But in this instance, we're going to send it to ABC vendor. They owe us, I owe them, I don't know, $25,000. I need a new car. I don't know. Cars probably don't cost that much. And they have a pretty complicated invoice string. There you go. And then it's a one-time payment. What's the day that I received the invoice? I received this invoice from ABC vendor today. And then note to self, what did I pay for? Manufacturing. Did I spell that right? Good thing I'm an accountant and not a spelling bee champion. Alrighty, and then that's it. I'm going to minimize myself here so I can hit submit and then save and close. And you'll be able to, that bill is loaded in the AP cycle. And so what you can do is you can go back in and you can actually issue payment now. And you'll mark them as a 1099 contractor. So, and I did that so you could see why it's important to be able to basically keep up with your accounting. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to get to the end of the year and say, who did I pay and what was it for? Melio is going to keep up with all that if you can, if you mark this as a 1099 contractor, and then you'll be able to send out those 1099s come January 1st. One thing I do recommend, if you are paying your 1099 contractors, go ahead and make sure you're collecting your W-9 forms, because that's just going to make the process a lot easier come January 31st, whenever you have to get their EIN, their address, their name, a signature. It's all there. It's all compiled in Melio. And then from there, you can be relatively hands-off, which is really nice, because as an accountant, I get stressed out a lot whenever it's January 28th and I have 300 1099s to send out. So if you've been doing what you're supposed to do when you're paying these 1099 contractors, you collect that W-9, you input all that information, and then you mark them as a 1099 contractor. And then before January 31st of the following year rolls around, you can use Melio's integrated third partner, tax1099.com. I've used them for years. They're excellent for this type of stuff, for filling out these IRS forms, and it'll send it out. You don't have to print anything. Tax 1099 will mail everything out. It can even deliver it to them via email. It's great. And so that is how I would recommend paying your 1099 contractors, especially if they're international. You still want to be able to take those expenses whenever you're filing for your profit and loss on your Schedule C, or however you're reporting to the IRS. You need to showcase that you sent out the appropriate form so you can take those expenses as subcontractor expenses. So paying subcontractors with Melio is not a difficult thing to do, but once again, you can do it with Bill.com, you can do it with QuickBooks, any accounting platform. You can write a check, send an ACH, but Melio is going to make it a little bit easier whenever it comes to being tax time, and it's going to make it a little bit easier if they're international. So that's why I wanted to show this video on this platform like that today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you learned something.